If you're offered a profitable company with declining revenue, what would you pay? As the man in the original RoboCop movie said,
"I'd buy that for $1."
And that's what Sinead Boucher paid for Stuff and its newspapers.
I was able to take on a company that was profitable, that had cash in the bank, no debt.
Since then, she's split the company in two.
Join us for 3 News.
Taken on TV news and sold half of the Stuff website to TradeMe.
Despite rumours and reporting, I have had no secret backers, no other investors.
But is she making money? Welcome to the NBR Podcast. I'm Simon Shepherd. As they say in the media, let's start with a backgrounder. Pre-COVID, Herald owner NZME and Stuff's owner Fairfax planned to become one. But
the Commerce Commission won't allow media companies NZME and Fairfax to merge.
Fairfax then merged with Nine Entertainment, and the new Aussie owner wanted out. But no one wanted in, except
Sinead Boucher is the woman who has bought one of New Zealand's biggest media organisations for $1.
That was 2020. And since then, the media landscape has changed dramatically.
MediaWorks has axed its talkback radio show Today FM after just 1 year on air.
And they have f***ed us.
News Hub gone.
The owners of TV3 have confirmed the network's news operations will shut down in July.
And journalism cuts at TVNZ and other outlets.
Save our stories! Save our news!
But Stuff has survived.
Yeah, 5 years. It's been an incredible journey. It was an unexpected turn of events.
Sinead Boucher is still the publisher and having a second stint as CEO.
You know, it's been 5 years of being able to direct, grow, develop the business that I already loved so much, the work that I love so much. You know, I was a journalist originally before I became a CEO and into management, and you know, being able to have that freedom to decide what direction we want to take, to plot our course, and then invest in all the sort of fundamentals to get us there,
right?
Without having to ask anybody else for permission
right,
or
so
approval or anything
right.
like that, has been really great. It means that we have been able to move quite fast on things as well.
Okay.
And so over those 5 years...
So is that a move quick, break things, try things, move on kind of
I think
philosophy?
Rather than move quick, break things, I think we've been... I've got a really clear idea of what I had a really clear idea of what I wanted to achieve and do, and I was really resolved in just making sure we did it.
Okay.
Of course, it's media. Lots of things come along the way.
Well, that's
and
right.
Interruptions.
So the media
and all sorts
landscape,
of things.
you know, you bought during COVID. You know, Nine was going to shut it down or try because it couldn't sell it. But then the whole media landscape's changing anyway in the last 5 years. Yeah. I mean, really, what a tumultuous time.
Well, yeah, and honestly, I think this is the way it's always going to be.
Okay.
Yeah,
this is the new normal.
We're not going to get over some hump and we're into, you know, the promised land or some final state. And I think once you accept that, and I accepted that a long time ago, you are just looking for continuous improvement, change, trying to innovate, trying to push ahead and do the things you want. So in those 5 years, you know, a lot of that was... you know, we had been up for sale in one way or another for many years, you know, back to the time when Fairfax tried to merge us. So there was a lot to do.
Okay. So was there ever a time where you felt that, okay, I've made the wrong decision, Stuff's not going to make it financially?
I have never felt that.
Never felt that.
I was really lucky because of this unique moment. I was able to take on a company that was profitable, that had cash in the bank, no debt,
right,
and all the freedom to do whatever it was I want with it. And obviously, you know, those days of COVID when no one knew what was going to happen after lockdown, etc. That's really what gave Nine, you know, the jitters around New Zealand going into a hard lockdown and then thinking, oh, this is the end of New Zealand's economy and all the rest of it. So you tell me it was a
bargain, right? You got cash in the bank and you got it for a buck. There's been a few deals since then, okay? You've been very active just recently. But first of all, can I ask you a couple of things? So first, splitting the company in two, Stuff Digital and the subscription-supported mastheads separated. Done, to potentially sell off the mastheads? Was that why?
No, not done for that reason, but done to give us more strategic options for both parts of the business, but also to allow, before that we were one hybrid everything. And I felt that was really undervaluing the journalism from our mastheads, which we already had a lot of subscribers through our print products, and we wanted to be able to develop digital subscriptions aimed at those subscribers. But we didn't want to compromise what Stuff was as well. You know, biggest digital brand in the company, mass free, you know, lively journalism every day. So the decision was made, I made the call that I wanted to separate those two aspects of the company out to allow both of them to follow their own strategies. A big part of that was repositioning the Post from being the Dominion Post of Wellington to being a national brand as the publication from the capital. And I think that's really proven to be the right strategy for us, because we've grown both businesses and audiences for both as well.
But you say it wasn't to sell, but NZME was talking to you about buying the mastheads.
They are very attractive assets.
Right.
Yeah.
What happened to that?
Yeah,
I mean,
so
you obviously were open to it.
Over the years, I've had a lot of approaches for different parts of the business or the whole business.
Right.
Some of them I've kicked right straight to touch, and others I've always felt I have a responsibility to the business to at least explore some of them. In terms of NZME, I wouldn't even characterise that as being as any formal talk stage.
Really?
They had made an approach,
Yep.
And then obviously they went into their own kind of
reshaping of the board. Jim Grant,
of course, supports to that. But I think I still feel, and I'd say this for all media businesses here, you know, if you look over the next few years, there should be some more consolidation. There should be, we all need to have that kind of scale and strength to compete against global platforms.
What does that consolidation look like? What are you forecasting?
Well, I mean, most recently, I think seeing 3 go to Sky, that's consolidation.
Yep.
The alternative to that was that 3 probably would have been closed down.
Yep. It's also a consolidation of voices as well, though, isn't it?
Well, not necessarily, because when you have big platforms, you have room for all the voices you want. And I don't favour that kind of narrowing down of a editorial voice or things. I don't think that actually is a consequence of consolidation unless that is a specific strategy by an owner.
Okay.
I haven't seen that happen here.
Right. Well, the only thing that we have seen in terms of sort of editorial direction is at NZME, where they've established an editorial board. Is that something that you would consider doing?
It's not something I would consider doing. We have excellent editors, and they are editors there to make independent decisions on what they cover. Yeah.
So, while the on-off-again dance with NZME hasn't seen a deal done, another on-off-again dance did go ahead.
TradeMe has bought a 50% non-controlling stake in Stuff Digital, which produces the news website stuff.co.nz, and Us 3 News.
I asked Sinead Boucher who approached who.
So over the many years, TradeMe and Stuff, either when we were with Fairfax or after, have had many back and forths on things like this. And for one reason or another, including their ownership change or our ownership change, it sort of never quite got there. So I actually literally cannot remember who kind of kicked it off.
But it's been a long process, a long conversation.
You know, we always felt, both of us, that there were good reasons to kind of come together in some way. So again, when I separated the business, I definitely wanted to keep the door open to bringing in an investor. I have had, despite rumours and reporting, I have had no secret backers, no other investors. And if we want to continue to grow,
so it's always just been you.
It's always been me.
Yep.
If we want to continue to grow and be more relevant, do more things, I'm very ambitious for what we can do.
Okay.
Then they were the right partner to bring in.
Well, let's talk about ambition then. So, I mean, it's the property link up that everybody's been the top line, but what is the TradeMe deal going to do for Stuff Digital in the next, say, 12 months? Are there other plans? What's the ambition to do with those proceeds?
So obviously kicking off the property was the big thing first out of the rank, but we are working on some other things together. Not ready to talk about those just at this moment.
No, I'm more than welcome to.
But I think you can look at both businesses and think, right, there's really complementary strengths there. We are a big audience platform. People coming to us many times a day. Our audience is almost a direct map to the New Zealand population.
Right, okay.
So, and they are a big marketplace with huge amounts of knowledge and data, and I think the combination of both of those unlocks lots of opportunities.
So does that mean you're not going to sell the other 50% of Stuff Digital or look for an exit?
At this point, I am not selling the other 50% of digital, but one thing I have learned in the last 5 years is you never say never and you never say always when it comes to media, because you always have to have a view of how much things are changing over the years. And beyond the success of the business, what's really important to me is that we can continue to fund journalism at scale and do big, important stories, cover big things with the resources required. And I take that kind of really seriously, that responsibility to make sure we can continue to do that in the future. So don't take that as meaning there are any specific plans. It's just
that's your position.
My position is never say always and never say never.
Remember, if you are enjoying the NBR podcast, Independent Business Journalism, please give us a follow and share it around. Thank you very much. Now, back to Sinead Boucher. The big important stories, of course, are produced by the journalists, some of whom have recently gone on strike over a pay offer the E2 union says is
an insulting pay offer that doesn't even keep up with the cost of living.
Stuff's position is that it doesn't comment on pay negotiations. But another bone of contention is the TradeMe deal.
Stuff Digital recently just sold half of it off to TradeMe for how much we don't know, but none of that money has come towards any journalists or to improvement in the lives of journalists or how we operate.
When Sinead Boucher bought the company, she gifted 10% to the staff. Now the TradeMe deal is in place. Are there any proceeds from that sale, 10% of that sale, going to staff?
There certainly will be.
There will
and
be.
I think we are just, that TradeMe deal took effect in beginning of July.
Yes.
There's a few things to just tidy up post the deal that we will do, and then we will absolutely be distributing some of those proceeds to staff.
Why are staff sort of saying it's a secret deal? Are they complaining about lack of transparency? Have you got a problem there?
It's a confidential deal.
Yeah.
I mean, it's confidential, the terms of the deal. It's not secret. We announced it. I think you're probably referring to a comment sort of during the union around a secret payout.
Yeah.
There has been no secret payout.
Yeah.
I announced the deal.
Yeah. Okay.
And they paid for the company.
Yeah.
So
that's a confidential deal. I guess that they're saying, well, if we are part of this, the 10% of this particular deal, I guess. I don't know. We don't know how it works. We don't know the conditions of the trust, but they're asking for that sort of transparency about what is going to happen next.
I don't think that's actually what they are asking for, but the trust is set up to ensure that there are, it was a voluntary gift.
Yes.
And that staff will then get to, my job is to put the money into the trust. Yeah. Staff get to decide what to do with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And there are
Do you have
staff
a time frame
trustees.
for that?
I would hope in the next short number of months.
We've just
got a few things to finalise post the TradeMe coming in as a co-owner. Means we need to do some, back-end separation of different things to kind of complete some of the requirements of that deal.
So the nuts and bolts of that particular deal is just still working through,
Just,
even though it's signed.
Yes, it's a done and dusted deal.
Yeah.
There are just a few things to finalise, and then
right.
I'm really looking forward to being able to do that.
There's another deal that needs to be mentioned, and once again, it involves the same amount, $1. This time, it was Sky TV paying that for TV3, owned by Warner Brothers Discovery. And that's the station that Stuff makes the nightly news for. Does that change what happens with the 3 News Bulletin and your contract?
So it doesn't necessarily change the contract we have, but what it does do, and I think what we have discussed with Sky now, is it unlocks a lot of other potential opportunity as well. So I think it was actually a really great thing, that deal coming together, having a New Zealand company owning 3. I think we all, I know you, Simon, remember what a terrible time that was when News Hub went. And so we continue to produce the bulletin. We're discussing some other opportunities that we could do, some new things and extend things.
Synergies? Are they sports?
Not specifically. There's lots of things on the table, and I think the great thing is that we both see potential for further growth and growth of that partnership as well, and what we could do together.
Right. How are the news ratings?
We're really pleased, and actually, more importantly, they're really pleased. So,
they're really pleased. Well,
I think this year, particularly in last 6 months or so, we've really had a lot of momentum in ratings. Share in that kind of key, 25 to 54 is growing. And we conduct, we talk to the audience a lot, and what we are hearing back really strongly is they like the format. They love the way we've introduced longer interviews. They like hearing from a variety of journalists around the country. So we have learnt a lot. It was a steep learning curve. I'm sure you know how difficult it can be to get a 6 o'clock bulletin out every night.
Yep.
And I have huge respect for the staff that have come to work for us from Newshub, because they are so talented and so hardworking, and they get that show out.
So when you took it over, just over a year ago, or had it got up and running, did you have a time frame to prove the concept to WBD? And did you have it? Like, do you have a time in the contract to prove it to Sky? No, it's open-ended, is it?
It's a contract. It's a fixed-term contract. It's still quite a long time to run.
Right, so
but there was no. There's no
I'm just trying to work out how long you've got it for.
There was no 90-day trial period.
Okay.
Yeah.
Even though the government brought that in. Okay. Making money as a media organisation is tough. How was your last financial year?
Good.
Was it?
We remain profitable. We were pleased with what we've done, and I think the big things that we saw in the last year was, in a really challenging economy, we're really pleased with the way both our digital advertising and our print advertising has performed. Mm-hmm. In print particularly, or in the masthead business, I'd say most of those relationships are direct versus with ad agencies.
What do you mean? For a novice like myself,
with
the advertising world?
Direct relationships with companies.
Okay.
Digital advertising is predominantly through agencies, programmatic, automated, so they're different businesses. And I think we were really pleased with the way our digital subscriptions have performed since we launched them. This last 12 months, we've had more than 30% growth in those. The Post, the Press, the Waikato Times. And they continue to grow really strongly. Now, we were slow getting those out the gate compared to other companies. Yeah. Benefits of that, you see what works, what people are after. There's lots of great models to follow, but it also gave us chance to really know what we want to do, and that's working really well. I think I'd really call out the Post in terms of the Press is doing extraordinarily well, but the Post has really reinvented itself as a national paper through that process, and that's really resonating. At the same time, you have had to do some consolidation of smaller titles as well. Yeah. When I say consolidation, you've had to close them. That's right, and I think we're just in that era. We will be over coming years. I expect there will be more closures or exits. I'd love to be able to hand some of those small free local titles on. Could you push them off into sort of rural community trusts or absolutely? We're really open to any of that. Like the print is changing. The print supply chain is evolving globally in terms of being able to access supplies of newsprint, of ink, of parts. Are you saying that it's a lot harder to do all that? Well, for a company our size, we haven't got an issue with that. But if you're a small independent company, it is difficult to source those things, because the bigger companies are, as more and more mills and plants around the world convert to make packaging for Amazon, those raw materials it's most important to me, though, is not the format, it's the newsroom. Okay. And keeping the newsroom strong and making sure they're still producing. So if the format goes, as a newsroom stay? Yes. Okay. Well, that's been the case largely, we've got more readers and more audience than ever now. So there's an appetite and a demand for that journalism. I'm a very firm believer in journalism as being a real cornerstone of a healthy democracy. And I see my job as making sure we can run a healthy business to support the journalism performing that function. Okay. Yeah. Well, that takes money, doesn't it? So let's talk about the digital space. So, in a submission to Parliament recently, and it was on the digital Fair News Digital Bargaining Bill, which is a really strange name. But you said the current sort of process of where Google and Meta hoover up all the advertising, digital advertising, is seen as almost like an extinction level event. Now, those are your words. And yet the government's put that bill on ice. What's the answer? Well, that was going to be an important part of the answer. I think, look, what we need is there are three things. Journalism is a cornerstone of democracy, so therefore it needs to be able to operate in a fair, competitive environment. And at the moment, we are not operating in a fair, competitive environment against the digital global giants who, as a reminder, don't really pay any tax here, don't employ many people here, don't contribute anything significant back that way. Yet they have built their businesses largely off the back of IP created by others. And I think my issue is that not that we are being out-competed by, let's face it, really smart, amazing companies. They produce amazing experiences, but that it's not a fair competitive landscape. The likes of a Google or a Meta or whatever control the entire digital ecosystem, and you cannot opt out of that and, not engage in some way.
And there's no political will to take
it on. There's no political will. They are not subject to the same regulations as we are. For example, you will have seen, I'm sure, in the last few weeks, all the noise about, the reporting that the news media have done around the Tom Phillips case, etc., and the respect, that we have for our suppressions and our suppression versus these platforms. That's an ongoing thing. But it's an example of how there is one rule for one aspect of the media and no rules for the other side.
So there's no obvious fix, is there?
Well,
without any political will?
You need political will, but there are things being done elsewhere. You will have seen, this year has been a year of antitrust cases in the States, which... let's see how they actually play out. But there is starting to be, I think the tide has turned in terms of seeing that these companies are monopolies, that they are quashing the fortunes of their competitors. And now I think the big thing is we've moved away from that focus on search and things. It's the AI companies. Well,
that's right, and that's where we're leading to. Okay, so if search is going to be replaced by me using ChatGPT or another chatbot to find and source things, okay, does that first of all, take away any particular digital revenue? And secondly, does it mean that your content, say stuff, right? Have you locked out OpenAI? Have you?
Yes, we have.
And so, in theory, you're not searchable by ChatGPT, are you?
In theory. So your
content won't be recommended.
Step through a couple of things there. Firstly, we are lucky as a business that we do not rely on Google traffic or any other search traffic. On the year of the Moss shooting, we withdrew from Facebook. So we didn't feel that was a right ethical... it wasn't ethically right for us to support a platform that would live stream a massacre in our own country. That didn't hurt us one bit. In fact, it just strengthened our direct relationship with our audience. So we have a really strong direct relationship with our audience. And in terms of Google, the large majority of traffic we receive from Google is people just typing in stuff as a shortcut to come to the thing. So I'm not worried about losing that. What I'm more worried about is the fact that block or not block, everybody's IP has been hoovered up by these giant companies for training for their LLMs and now to create and generate new products. And there is no fair compensation for that theft of intellectual property.
Can you not do a deal with OpenAI? They're not interested in
OpenAI has done a tiny handful of deals with global companies. So it's not something that's accessible to everybody. Right. But again, when you have no regulation or political will coming in behind you to back you up or to give you a little bit of teeth in the negotiation, Australia's doing a really good job in this space, and I would love to see New Zealand follow suit there. Both, originally in introducing regulation that did ensure the Metas and Googles and things had to make fair payment for content to platforms, and now they're following that up with looking more strongly at the AI companies.
Well, last AI question regarding to newsrooms. How much are you planning to use AI to automate?
We use AI a lot to automate already. Yeah. And my view on AI is I would always rather devote our resources to creating the work that our audiences and customers see value in rather than back-end processes. So here's some of the examples of how we use it now. We've over the last few years. We use AI to help us automate the production of our printed newspaper.
Okay.
Not the journalism that goes in there, but the kind of layout and
right. So you use
streamline that.
Yep.
We use it in all sorts of ways in our digital platform already, mostly to streamline and automate kind of back-end processes and tasks. We encourage our journalists to use it to help them in their job, to expand their ability to research, to use it as a thought partner, a tester to hone their ideas and things like that.
But does it ever play a part in actual creation of the content that I'm reading on Stuff Digital?
I would say yes, because of the way we encourage all journalists to try and use it. It can help write headlines. It can help recommend other stories. It's in there for everybody now. What we're really focused on. So what this is not these are not my words, but I heard someone say them, and I actually thought I really liked that description. That it takes away some of the labour of creativity, so that great journalists can focus on the creativity of journalism and the things that are really important about journalism, like doing a great interview, building contacts, being out in your communities and sourcing, rather than sitting working through computer systems to try and get everything,
So finally stepping back and looking at that, you're optimistic?
I am optimistic because I am always optimistic about our future. I am optimistic about our industry and our direction. I feel 5 years on from the MBO, I feel more optimistic and more assured of what we do and where we will go, and more able to cope with what are always going to be a really gnarly set of disruptive circumstances.
The new normal, as you said.
Yeah.
Right.
I know what I want to do,
yep,
and I know where I want to go.
Okay.
And I feel really confident in my team and our ability to do it. Like, I back us to do that.
And that wraps up this episode of the NBR Podcast. Any social clips used are in the description, and thanks to content producer Tane Turner. For early access to new episodes, subscribe at nbr.co.nz. Up next, we talk to the woman described as a deal-making blowtorch as part of the NBR's Deal Makers series. I'm Simon Shepherd. We'll catch you then.